Right. Let's get into this case. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is the Black Republican. I'm actually very new to YouTube. I watch a lot of it, like all of us. And I got tired of raging Facebook debates, and I said, let's add another layer to this. Let's argue with some people besides the people I grew up with, and maybe I can salvage a few friends from my Facebook or from my high school days. Today, Roger Stone was sentenced to just over 3 years in jail. It's an interesting case. There's a lot of interesting elements to it. It's been a hot button issue in the news. One of the best takes I like on it, and one that I think is very important, is from another judge, Andrew Napolitano. If you don't know who Andrew Napolitano is, he's a famous judge. He's a college professor, law professor. He's basically been on TV ever since I was a kid, giving legal expertise on every case that I've ever seen. So it's interesting whenever he has such a strong opinion. I mean, he sides with Trump, he sides against Trump. You have to realize all these things. He's not a fan of Brett Kavanaugh. These are interesting things. So you have to understand, he's not a one-sided guy. What he says is, there's only one way to undo this fairness, and that is a pardon. He says only a pardon can fairly undo this mess, as he describes it. He goes on to say, this is not about politics, and it's not about friendship. It's about the Constitution and human decency. Napolitano made comments on Thursday, 2 days after the U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson indicated during a pre-sentencing hearing that she planned to move forward with Stone's sentencing, which comes after his defense made a second request for a new trial earlier this month in the wake of revelations of possible political bias of a juror in his first case. Ironically, they say possible when we already know that the woman posted on her Twitter about him. She posted about Trump, she's posted about everything. So we know what she thinks about the case. So it's not a revelation of possible bias, it's pretty obvious bias, and this had no effect on Judge Amy Berman Jackson, and you have to ask yourself why, and we're going to talk more about her in a little bit. When asked what should happen on Thursday, Napolitano said the judge should interrogate his foreperson about her biases against the president. I mean, she allowed this person to also be the juror for foreperson. So the judge is responsible for this, because she could have said, no, this person, for whatever reason. It seems like a stacked deck. And when you have a courtroom that's biased in any way, shape, or form, you get a new trial. And that's the way America works, because we are not a dictator, a communist country, run by oligarchs, maybe. He went on to say the judge should interrogate the departed prosecutors about what they knew about this foreperson and when they knew it and why they quit, and then determine whether or not the integrity of Stone's trial was adversely affected by this juror. It seems inconceivable that it was not. It's pretty interesting. Napolitano was referring to the mass resignation of Justice Department prosecutors from the Stone case. It's just interesting. I mean, we know there was no Russia collusion. So why hang this man out to dry? We know he wasn't working for Russian agents. His whole case is tied to WikiLeaks. Who on the internet thinks WikiLeaks is evil? I mean, if you do, you've been completely brainwashed by the media, because our whole lives, all they've done is leak stuff that the government didn't want us to know. I mean, how is that all of a sudden the anti-revolutions? You see what I'm saying? Antithesis. It makes no sense. You can't be for the revolution and for the government. It just makes no sense. Unless you're a Bernie supporter, I guess. Former Trump advisor Roger Stone was sentenced today by Amy Berman Jackson, who was involved in several high-profile cases since being appointed by Barack Obama in 2011. In recent years, the 65-year-old Harvard Law graduate presided over cases involving Stone, Paul Manafort, Jesse Jackson Jr., and one involving Hillary Clinton's Benghazi-related emails. Can you imagine how those turned out? I mean, being that she's so hard on Trump's guys, you already know how she sided on Hillary's emails. It's funny, I've never read the case, but I can pretty much guess what it says. Jackson rejected a request by Stone's defense to delay or request a new trial. Interesting. She has been described by some as tough, fair, and always prepared. Here are more details about cases involved which she presided over. Like I said, it's just an interesting case. It's interesting the people who are in play. It's interesting that she's prosecuted all these people tied to Trump with rather harshest sentence possible that she could get away with. Fairness doesn't matter to her. And as a judge, that's frightening. I would hate for her to be presiding over my case if she saw my Facebook post. And with that, I'm going to end today, guys. Thanks. First time out. Probably won't do it more. Maybe I will. I don't know. I hate my own face on camera. But I am pretty annoyed about things all the time. And my friends on Facebook really want me to do something else. So here we go. Have a great day, guys.